Xo'p, bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 10-kitobimizning Test 2 and Passage 2 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz va bu Passage 1 analizini ko'rib chiqamiz va bu analizimizda birinchi navbatda bizdan nima kutilayotganligi, qanaqa mavzuda briefing qilish kutilayotganligini ko'rishimiz uchun titlni ko'rib chiqishimiz kerak va bu qismni o'zi ko'rgansak Tea and the Industrial Revolution, demak choy va Industrial Revolution bu tarixga va choyga bog'liq bo'ladi va undan keyin esa savollar turlarini ko'rib chiqishimiz kerak. Bu qismni o'zi ko'rgansak matching headings, undan keyin esa true false not keyin savollar. O'zingiz bilganingizdek, oldin aytib o'tganimizdek, matching headinglarni bajarishimiz uchun hamma paragrafni o'qishimizga kerak bo'ladi, majburiy bo'ladi va bunga qo'shimcha ravishda agar true false not keyin savollarni o'qib ketsak, o'zimizga foydali bo'ladi. Chunki masalan matchinglarni hammasini bajarganimizcha butun tekstni o'qib chiqamiz. Agar true false not keyin unga qaytadigan bo'lsak, bu energiyamiz, vaqtimizni sarflagani bo'ladi. Shuning uchun ham true false not keyindagi bitta yoki ikkita savolni o'qib olishimiz kerak, chunki ular tartibda keladi. Undan keyin esa bemalol matchinglarni bemalol bajarishimiz mumkin bo'ladi. China's transport system was not suitable for industry 18-asrda. Tea and beer was helped to prevent dysentery in Britain. Demak, mana shu ikkalasini China bilan tea and beerni topishga harakat qilamiz va hozir endi birgalikda keling matchingga e'tibor qarataylik. Paragrafni o'qishimiz kerak. Alan Marfarlane professor bla. Bular muhim emas, qarang. Men bu odam muhim bo'lishi mumkin, lekin men bu shu muhim emas. E'tibor berib keting. Like other historians, spent decades wrestling with the ending of industrial revolution. Okay, why this particular Big Bang, world-changing burst of industry happened in Britain, and why did it strike at the end of 18th century? Demak, Alan Marfarlane o'sha ishlar ekan, o'zini boshini qotirgan ekan bitta muammosida industrial revolution nimaga bu Britaniyada bo'ldi, nimaga 18-asr oxirida bo'ldi. Search for the reasons of an increase in population haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Industrialization, fear of unemployment haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Fear haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Japan umuman ma'lumot yo'q. Time and place of industrial revolution bu ma'lumot bor, chunki bizda Britaniya bor, 18-asr oxiri bor. Demak, to'rtni taxminiy javob sifatida olishimiz mumkin. Keyingiga o'tamiz. To'g'ri belgilab qo'yaylik. Don't do this. Mana bunaqa belgilab qo'y. Xo'p, keyingisi case of Holland. Holland yo'q. Drinking habit haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Two keys to Britain's industrial revolution. Demak, bu qismda Britaniyaning industrial revolюцияsi bor, two keys haqida ma'lumot yo'q, lekin balki bo'lishi mumkin. Olib qo'yaylik mayli. Bizda nima ketdi? Keyin masalan javob bo'ladigan bo'lsa, boshqasini o'zgartirishimiz mumkin bo'ladi. U muammo emas. O'zgartirib ketaveramiz. Hey, what is happening? Why I cannot write there? Oltini olaman yana. Bo'lishi mumkin masalan. Kim biladi? Bilib o'tiribdimi? Bilmaymiz. 7 ekan, 6 emas ekan. Besonaqay. Hop. Conditions required for industrialization. Condition haqida ma'lumot yo'q, Japan ma'lumot yo'q. Hop, true false ham savolga javob topmadi shekilli. Keyingisiga o'tib ketaveramiz. Macfarlane compares the fossil to combination lock. Okay. There are about 20 different factors. Wow. All of them need to be present before revolution can happen. Demak, shunday ma'lumot bor. Conditions required for industrialization. Mana 20 ta faktor bor, 20 ta condition berilgan. Shuning uchun ham katta ehtimollik bilan 8 bo'lishi kerak menimcha. Shunaqa deb o'yladim. Xo'p, qidiramiz, davom etamiz. For industry to take off, there needs to be technology, power to drive factories, large urban populations, cheap labor, easy transport, good round, middle class, by mass-produced objects. This is the case of England. For other most such as Japan, Netherlands, France also meet some of these criteria, but we're not industrializing. All sectors have been necessary for the not sufficient to cause revolution. After all, Holland had everything except coal, while China also had many of these factors. Most researchers are convinced that there are more or two missing factors that you need to open to log. Demak, one or two missing factors berilgan ekan. Demak, Holland yo'q bo'lmas, chunki bu detal, asosiy ma'lumot bunda berilmagan. Keyingi o'tib ketamiz. Missing factors he proposed are to be found in almost every kitchen in cupboard: tea and beer. Two of the nation's favorite drinks fueled the revolution. Antiseptic properties of tannin, the active ingredient tea, and hops of beer, plus the fact that both are made with boiled water, allowed urban communities to flourish at close quarters without succumbing to waterborne diseases such as dysentery. Demak, true false keyin javob bergan. Theory sounds eccentric, but once he starts to explain the detective work, when to his deductions, the skepticism gives way to very admiration. He's been strengthening by support from the notable quarters distinguished medical historian recently wrote about favorable appraisal of this research. Demak, maqsadda ikkita missing factor bor. Qolib ketgan faktorlar bu 2 bilan 3 bilan berib bo'ladi. O'zini antiseptik qobiliyatlari bor. Buning natijasida odamlar kasal bo'lmagan degan ma'lumotlar berilgan. Xo'p, search for reason increasing population ma'lumot yo'q. Fear no. Nope. Drinking habit bor, lekin change yo'q. Mana bo'lishi mumkin, mana bu 7 bo'lishi mumkin hozir. Chunki Britaniyaning industrial revolyutsiyasiga ikkita faktor bu pivo bilan, bir bilan T deb olishimiz mumkin-da, chunki bu qismda. Shu mana 7 ni o'chirib qo'yishim mumkin hozir. Chepani o'qimadik. Trufosning yo'ndan javobimiz bor hozir. Xo'p, Chinese transport system not suitable. Xo'p, unaqa ma'lumot yo'qda, unaqa gap yo'qda. Chinese transport system was not suitable for the 18th century. China haqida ma'lumot yo'q, lekin 18th century haqida umuman ma'lumot yo'q. Transport system haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Not even qilamiz. Keyingi o'tamiz. Xo'p, tea and beer was helped to prevent dysentery. Demak, to'g'ri. Ular allow it without succumbing. To'g'ri, bu to'g'ri. Yordam bergan ekan. True. Roy Porter disagrees with Professor McFarlane's finding. For Porter, distinguished medical historian, appraisal of his research. Demak, Roy Porter agrees, not disagrees. U qo'llab-quvvatlagan Roy Porter. Demak, bu true, false bo'ladi. U qarshilik qilmagan, balki qo'llab-quvvatlagan. Bunda support turibdi, appraisal turibdi, qo'llab-quvvatlash. Savollar, keywordlar ko'p. After 1740, there were reduction in population in Britain. Demak, 1740 yildan keyin o'zini aholisida pasayish ko'rgan ekan. Britaniya o'shani topishimiz kerak. 40 yillar bor. Demak, javob D chiqadi. D ikkita savolga javobni topganmiz kamida. McFarlane had wondered for a long time how the Industrial Revolution came about. Okay. Historians had aligned on one interesting factor around the mid-18th century required explanation. Between these years, population was static, but then there was a burst in population. 50-yildan 40-yilgacha turgan, keyin oshib ketgan. Demak, unda 70-40-yildan keyin reduction emas, increase bo'lgan. Shuning uchun ham buni false deb olamiz. Chunki buni reduction deb yozib qo'yibdi, kamayish bo'lib yozib qo'yibdi. Bu yerda increase bo'lgan. O'sha uchun ham false deb olamiz buni. McFarlane says infant mortality rate halved in past space 20 years. This happened in rural cities across all classes. Barcha klasslarda people suggest 4 possible causes. 4 ta cause bo'lgan ekan. There was certain change in the viruses and the bacteria around. Unlikely. There was a revolution in medical science, but this was surgery before Leicester's revolution. There was change in environmental conditions. There were improvements in agriculture and taught malaria, but these were small gains. Sanitation didn't become widespread. The only option left is food, but still height and weight of statistics show a decline. So food must have got worse. Efforts to explain the sudden reduction in child deaths appear to have drew a blank. Nimaga bu population o'sib ketdi? 4 ta faktorda ko'rdi, hech qaysi javob bermadi. Demak, fooddan ko'rdi, fooddan javob bermadi. Demak, javob yo'q. Search for reasons for increasing population. Demak, aholi o'sishini sabablari qidiruvi haqida ma'lumot bor. Shuni birini olamiz. Chunki qidirishgan 4 ta faktor ko'rsatishgan, lekin birortasi ham javob bo'lmagan. O'sha uchun ham birini olib o'chirib qo'yamiz. Keyingiga o'tamiz. Keyingiga o'tishdan Trufosdan keyin keywordlarni topa olmasam, keyin o'zimga qiyin bo'ladi. People in Britain used to make beer at home. Demak, uyda pivo tayyorlashgan ekan. Tax on malt indirectly caused rise in death rate. Demak, unda maltga qo'yilgan soliqlar o'limlar sonini indirectly, ya'ni kosvенно deydi uni. To'g'ri emas, noto'g'ri. To'g'ridan to'g'ri bo'lmagan ravishda ta'sir ko'rsatgan. O'shani topishimiz kerak. Bo'ldi, bu oxirgi video bo'lsa kerak bugunga. 11:30 bo'lib ketdi. Mayli. Population burst seemed to happen at just right time to provide labor for the Industrial Revolution. When you start moving towards the Industrial Revolution, it's economically efficient to have people living closer together. But when you get disease, popularity of human waste. Some digging around historical records revealed that there was a change in the incidence of waterborne diseases at the time, especially dysentery. McFarlane said whether drinking must have been important in regulating disease. He says that we drank beer for a long time. English were protected from the strong antibacterial agent in hops, which were added to help preserve the beer. A tax was introduced on malt. Basically, in beer, the poor turned to water and gin. In the 70s, mortality rate began to rise again. Dropped again. What causes this? O'z ko'rganingizda boksunda odamlar pivo ichgan, pivoni halt degan nimadir qo'shishgan ekan, maltmi? mold qo'shgan ekan. Demak, xo'p, hops qo'shgan ekan, bir preserve qilish uchun, saqlab qolish uchun. O'sha odamlarga yordam bergan ekan. Moldga tags qo'yilgandan keyin odamlar suvga, jinga qaytgan ekan. Uning natijasida mortality rate, ya'ni o'lim soni yana ko'payib ketgan ekan, keyin yana tushib ketgan ekan. U g'alatiroq, nimaga tushib ketdi? Ho'p, people in Britain used to make beer at home. U haqida ma'lumot yo'q. U beer haqida, ichganligi haqida ma'lumot bor, lekin uyda qildimi, ko'chada qildimi, yerda qildimi, ma'lumot yo'q. Tax on malt indirectly caused rising. Demak, maltga tax qo'yishgan ekan, odamlar bakteriyali water bilan jinga o'tgan ekan, o'limlarni ko'targan. Indirectly cause to'g'ri bo'ladi, true bo'ladi bu qism. Shu bilan true false kelgan savollari mana mortality period begin to rise again. Mana bu qismda after tax introduction. Bu qismda hamma true false kelgandagi savollarga javoblarni tushundinglar degan umiddaman. Agar tushunmagan bo'lsanglar, o'sha kommentlarga qoldirishinglar mumkin. Biz bu videoni qaytadan olishga harakat qilamiz. Xo'p, nima haqida edi bu? Xo'p, unemployment haqida ma'lumot yo'q, Japan haqida ma'lumot yo'q, case haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Changes in drinking haqida ma'lumot bor, chunki tax, ya'ni soliq, maltga soliq introduce qilingandan keyin odamlar water bilan jinga o'tilgan o'tdi degan gap bor, shu uchun oltin olsak bo'ladi bu qismga. Xo'p, comparison with Japan haqida ma'lumot yo'q hozircha. Demak, F bilan G qoldi oxirgi qismlari. Finally. Let's go down with drums. Xo'p, qayoqqa qoldik? F bilan G qoldi. McFarlane looked to Japan, which was also developing large cities about the same time, also no sanitation. Waterborne disease had a much looser grip on the Japanese population than those in Britain. Could it be prevalence of tea in their culture? McFarlane noted the history of tea provides an extraordinary consciousness of dates. Tea was relatively expensive until Britain started a direct clipper trade for its China in the early 18th century, was 1740s, about the time the infant mortality was dipping. A drink was common. Guess that the fact that the water had to be boiled together with stomach purifying properties of tea means that the breast milk provided by mothers was healthier than it had been. Modern European nations sipped tea like British, pushed other countries out of contention for the revolution. Demak, o'z ko'rgansak, Yaponiyaga qaragan ekan. Yaponiyada ham xuddi o'sha vaqtda sanitatsiya bo'lmagan ekan, katta shaharlar develop bo'layotgan ekan, qaragan ekan. Bu tea, ya'ni choy sababli bo'lmayapti bu narsa. Ko'rishda to'g'ri keladi hamma narsa. Teani ichadi, ularni suti tozaroq bo'ladi, uning natijasida odamlar sog'lomroq bo'ladi, uning natijasida boshqa yevropalik davlatlar bu tea ichmagan, o'shaning uchun ham kontenderlar safidan chiqib ketgan. Demak, tea bo'ladi. Feral unemployment o'qimadik. Development of cities haqida o'qimadik. Development of cities, mana bu developing large cities haqida ma'lumot bor, lekin bu development of cities haqida emas-da bu gap. Uchun ham yo'q. Uchmas. Change of city, no. Two keys, no. O'shatim comparison with Japan to answer. Demak, o'qishda Yaponiya bilan compare qilgani, to'xta deb teani compare qilgani, demak bu choydan ekan degan savolga javobga sabab bo'ldi. Shu bilan F tugadi. But if tea is a factor for the combination lock, why didn't Japan forge ahead in tea soak the industrial revolution of its own? McFarlane notes that even though 17th century Japan had large cities, high literacy rate, even a futures market, it turns back on the essence of any work-based revolution by giving up labor-saving devices such as animals, afraid that they would put people out of work. So the nation that we now think of as one of the most technological advanced entered the 19th century having abandoned the wheel. Demak, o'qishda o'z ko'rgansak, xo'p, Yaponiyada shuncha combination lockdagi faktorlar hammasi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, nima uchun Yaponiyaning o'zida revolyutsiya boshlanib ketmadi degan savolga, ularda katta shaharlar bo'lgan, yaxshi literacy rate bo'lgan, savodxonlik darajasi, o'zini aksiya marketlari bo'lgan, lekin ular labor saving devicedan o'zini chetga olgan. Yo'q, biza kuch labor, ya'ni mehnat save qiladigan devicelar ishlatmaymiz degan uchun ham orqada qolib ketgan ekan. Mana bu bo'lar ekan, industrialization, fear of unemployment bu qolib ketgan ekan, chunki ular ishchi kuchini o'sha narsaga o'tib ketib qolishdan qo'rqqan ekan. O'sha uchun ham bo'ladi bu javob. development bo'lmadi, 3ni ishlatmadik, 6ni ishlatmadik. 6ni ishlatdik. Endi mana ishlatmadik. Endi nimanidir ishlatmadik-da qisqasi. Shu bilan bugungi shu bilan bugungi darsimiz uzun hayotga ketadi. Hammaga tushunarli bo'ldi degan umidaman. Agar tushunarsiz bo'lgan bo'lsa, agar network qilgan bo'lsa, xafa bo'lmaysizlar. Keyingi videolarda sizlar bilan ko'rishguncha xayr. Everyone, bye.